All right, we got a whopper of a tutorial here for you today, and that's because we're going to be doing a tutorial of Republic, which is an equity crowdfunding portal that anyone can use in order to invest in startup companies. So if you're a beginning investor, you want to invest in startups or get into private equity, this is a great way to do that. And thankfully, we have been blessed by incredible new rules when it comes to equity crowdfunding. So we're going to be getting into that today. And I'm going to be honest, it's a little bit convoluted. It's a little bit confusing when it comes to how to actually get started investing on this platform. So I'm going to try to demystify this, make it much more simple and straighten this out for you so you can understand this going into your investments. In addition, I would say that the marketing is great with Republic in terms of the branding, and that can also distract you. So hopefully you're going to come away from this video with more clarity. And if you really support that mission, make sure that you give me a thumbs up on this YouTube video, leave a positive comment down below, and of course, subscribe to this channel if you want more content just like this. My name is Salvador Briggman, and let's get right down to the brass tacks with this video. All right, man, let's get started here. So first of all, there are a couple of different ways in which you can actually invest on Republic. And I'm going to break these down into four major ways. We're actually going to focus on two of them. And it gets even more confusing than that because within these four ways, there are also different securities, which means different regulations in which you raise money, ways in which you raise money. There's also different asset classes, different fees that are tied to those, and different ways in which you experience a return on your investment. So first of all, there are what are known as live deals. So live deals this is really kind of like the crowdfunding platform of Republic, where you can invest in new and growing startup companies. Typically, this is going to be under three major regulations. This is going to be under Regulation A+. These are a lot more costly for startup companies, and usually it's a company that's a little bit further along that's doing a Reg A+ raise, which allows you to raise upwards of $75 million in a 12-month period. You then have what are known as Reg CF style raises. These are a lot smaller companies that are doing a raise, usually from their customers, from their fans, from their community, and also obviously from the public. This is basically an initial issuance of shares, or it could be a crowd safe model. And this is around 5 million as a limit when it comes to Reg CF. And then you also have Reg S companies, which are basically raising money from international investors, and they're using Reg S in order to avoid listing that when it comes to the SEC. So it gets a little bit more complicated when it comes to that, but I just want you to be aware that there are what are known as, first of all, live deals, and we will be talking more about that in the future. The downside, though, to live deals is that when a company is issuing its shares or doing an initial offering via crowdfunding to the public, it's very illiquid. A lot of these companies are doing a raise and they might not exit from an IPO or, for example, selling their company in that 3 to 7 year time frame. So they're very illiquid investments. And as a result of that, Republic actually developed what are called a secondary market. So the secondary market is where you can trade some of these shares, or if you want to call them securities, and that way there's more liquidity when it comes to those initial investments. So these could be safe assets, selling for US investors, transfer of ownership. It makes it a lot easier for you to then trade those investments which you've made if you decide that you want to exit that and maybe make another one. And that was a big downside initially to regulation crowdfunding investments and equity crowdfunding. So it's great that they've developed that, as well as other competitors like Start Engine. They also have a secondary market. Now, the third type is a Republic Venture. And this is also similar to Start Engine Private. If you watch my YouTube video on that, this is where anyone out there, if you are an accredited investor, you're going to want to listen up, because you can participate in what are known as Republic Venture deals. Republic Venture deals, this is really basically where you're investing alongside other top tier venture capitalists, usually doing something like a Reg D kind of a raise, where you have established companies that are backed by VCs already, and they're basically doing another raise and allowing you to participate in that raise. Think of this as like bread and butter private equity, right? This is really where you can participate in these private deals, but you can only do that if you are an accredited investor. And I have a whole article out there on my website, crowdcrux.com, that goes into accredited investor status. You basically have to have a certain net worth and also annual income. So you got to be able to afford to take a loss and know what you're doing there when it comes to that. And lastly, we have what are known as Republic notes. And now this is a really strange term to me personally. Like when I think of a note, I think of a promissory note where there's like a fixed repayment period and you're going to pay back that money almost like someone has borrowed money from you, right? I kind of think of more of like a debt instrument. This is different from a debt instrument. Maybe they wanted to kind of have a little bit of that connotation for some way, but this is completely different than a debt instrument. So what is the note section? Or it's really a financial product product when it comes to Republic. Think of this almost as either a comparison to a mutual fund or a comparison to an ETF, but it's still even then a little bit different. And the reason why is that this note financial product allows you to participate in the upside of the portfolio companies of Republic plus the different business arms of Republic. So I know this gets a little bit confusing, and I'm going to go a little bit more into this towards the end of the video, but what you should take away is that this is another way in which you can actually invest in Republic, is to take advantage of the new Republic note. And when it comes to this, if you really want to get into the nitty gritty just really quickly, this is going to be what's known as a token. So this is issued on the blockchain. A token is where it's basically you're investing in the Republic note, and they're going to pay back that investment via dividends from their business arms, and you're going to be able to trade that note as well on a specific marketplace. So we'll talk more about that in a little bit, but it's raised under Regulation A+. It technically is a security, but it's a digital security, and it's actually a token if you want to get specific about that. It's a little bit complicated. So let's start here with the investment opportunities. When you come to Republic and you want to learn more about the companies that are right now raising money live, and this is for Reg CF and Reg A+ deals, you can come to the investment opportunities here. And for example, if you wanted to invest in a new community ownership for a soccer club near Metro New York City, you can do that. And you can see here how this company right now is raising money. They've already raised $208,000 from 132 investors, 28 days to go. As a startup investor, you are looking at a couple of different things. Number one, classes of shares. You're looking at the price per security. A big one that I tend to pay a lot of attention to would be the valuation when it comes to the company, because the valuation is really where they see the company going in the future. It's also going to depend on your industry and also the maturity of the company, the management team, any kind of patents that they might have. It's also going to depend on how far along they are when it comes to the business model. Have they generated revenue yet? Are they pre-revenue? Have they developed an initial prototype yet or concept, right? Where are they when it comes to the actual business? So you're going to be looking at the price per security, valuation. Another big one is going to be the minimum investment amount. Some of these companies have a much higher minimum investment amount than others. So something that you should be aware of would be what you need in order to actually participate when it comes to that specific investment. As you scroll down the screen here, you're going to get a little bit of like a pitch deck. And like I said, I love the UI, UX, and design when it comes to Republic. And a lot of that information is going to come here in this main pitch section. But on the right-hand corner, you're also going to see some of the different perks that you can get if you are actually investing. So for example, if you're investing at $300, you can get a birthday message to anyone from a player of your choice, and also a printable stock certificate with that specific investment. You can come here and you can learn more about this company. You can learn more about the management team, the people that are behind it, some of the press and media mentions, the FAQs, the risks, and also the discussion section where other investors are talking about this specific investment and learning more. Now, beyond this is great information in my opinion. I think the fact that we've gotten here to this level of information is great. It's incredible. But you also want to do a little bit of your own due diligence. So I would recommend, and I know this is kind of boring, but if you're an investor, you want to understand a little bit of the nitty-gritty that goes into the deal. So go there and look through a little bit of their financial information. Look behind the scenes to really understand where the proceeds are going when it comes to this specific raise. Understand the balance sheet, the profit and loss when it comes to this company. Take the time to go and look through this information so that you know exactly the company that you're investing in. It can also be a very exciting exercise if you're a nerd like myself and you love to learn a little bit more about the inner workings of companies, right? This is a great exercise for you as well. And of course, you can use AI and other tools to help you with that. Now, when it comes to these specific investments, like I said, there's a much longer time horizon. So you're going to probably be expecting liquidity maybe in that 3 to 7 or 8 year time frame, depending on when the company is sold, whether they have more liquidity for the shareholders, or if there's going to be an IPO in the future. One of the other quick ones I wanted to also share with you is that a lot of these companies that are going on Republic, they're giving 7% in terms of the total amounts that's raised, and also 2% of the securities offered offered via a successful fundraising round. And this is really for, again, those companies that are raising money on Republic. As an investor, there is an administrative fee that's assessed, typically 2.5% with a minimum of $5 and a maximum of $250 when you are investing on Republic here via these live deals. So the startup company is also paying a fee, and also you yourself as an investor are going to be paying a fee. And the big one here is just do your due diligence, invest in the companies that are standing out to you, create some decision criteria when it comes to your own investments. And this is beyond just the P&L and the balance sheet. It's also really the management team, because with these early stage companies, that's what's going to make a really big impact or difference. Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillrite is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillrite today. Link in the description. All right, so let's get into the Republic notes. And I don't have any kind of opinion here when it comes to this specific platform. I'm more so doing this from an educational angle and providing some analysis when it comes to that. You can check this out on your own time. I don't work for Republic. I'm not advising you to go and learn more about this. I'm just kind of going through this because I'm a nerd about crowdfunding. And the first thing that I want to share with you is the fact that I think the note is a little bit deceptive as a term. It's not necessarily deceptive. It's just kind of confusing, if we want to put it that way. Because again, it's not a note, it's actually a digital security, and it's more of a token, and also it's kind of more aligned with something like a mutual fund, right, or an ETF. So first of all, if we come here in terms of how it works, so these are dividend paying digital securities. And what ends up happening is this note is going to, over time, accumulate dividends, right? And once it reaches 2 million, then a distribution is going to start. And this comes from exits with ventures or positive returns that are accumulated in an account and then distributed as dividends. Now, from what I've done so far with my research, I haven't found yet a distribution to happen with this Republic note, but once it hits that $2 million mark, that's when it's going to happen in terms of distribution. It's going to be via a USDC stablecoin via a wallet deposit. Now, the big question is, okay, so basically, dividends are going to be accumulating from exits and from, financial performance. And then at a certain point in time, this is going to be paid out. But where is that cash coming from? Well, it's going to be fueled from Republic's business arms. So this would be number one, the Republic crowdfunding portal, which we just went through, where startups are raising money under regulation crowdfunding and also Reg A+. There is also Republic Capital, which is Republic's institutional investment arm. You then have Republic Ventures, which is the syndicated platform for accredited investors, right, which we already went through as well on this video. You have then ones that are more geographic or regionally located, like Republic Europe. There's also what's known as Republic Crypto, Republic Digital, and Republic Runtime. So the way that I think about this is that they have a couple of different business units under the main brand of Republic, and as those business units produce income, as those business units potentially are sold, and in different ways they generate return, then they're going to distribute that to the actual quote-unquote Republic notes or token or digital security investors. Now, this is where it gets a tiny bit confusing, because Republic also does have a portfolio of 1,000 asset venture and crypto assets. So this can include companies when it comes to like SpaceX and Carta. And also keep in mind that when the, startups are raising money, Republic is also taking, I believe it was a 2% fee in the form of stock when it comes to those companies, in addition to, I believe it was the 7% commission which they charge when the company successfully raises money. So they have a couple of different, number one, income sources, but also ways in which they're gaining and growing their portfolio when it comes to Reg CF, Reg D, Reg A+, and the different kinds of startups which are listing on their website. So as you can see here, there are portfolio company and kind of the different items here that are included in that specific portfolio. If you want to, you can go through that on your own time. So let's go over just a couple quick benefits here, and then we'll finish off today's tutorial video when it comes to Republic. So in addition to having these dividend paying digital securities, you also have access to meetings, it sounds like, and live conversations when it comes to industry experts and insiders. You also have different deals and discounts, access to deals first, in real life events, swag drops. So there's this kind of feeling like you're part of a special community. I kind of think of that almost in like a credit card, kind of a VIP club. Where there's going to be these different benefits that are tied to this specific Republic note. In addition, these notes can be traded as well, and you can actually see the history here when it comes to the pricing for that specific note and some of the financial information there. I'm not going to go through this. We don't have enough time in this video to go through all of this information, but just so that you know, you can actually trade this note. There's going to be, from what I understand, a fixed number of these note, if I'm using that word very carefully, securities that are going out there, but you can also earn fractional amounts when it comes to those securities. And I think this is probably the biggest one that I want to point out, and before we close off this video, is that when you are investing in Republic notes, you're actually investing in Republic Core, right? So this is basically the technology company that's the big umbrella behind this. So it's not, as they say, a fund. It's not an investment company. You aren't technically owning, or getting investment in the portfolio of direct investments. You're really, investing in a digital security. And as the different business arms of Republic experience revenue, profit, sales, IPOs, any kind of way in which they're able to pay back, and create dividends that are over that $2 million mark, that's when those dividends are going to start to be distributed to investors just like you. If you want to learn more about equity crowdfunding, I got a free course out there if you're interested in raising money using this tool and this new way to actually cash in on the crowd and have startup companies that are raising money all the time. If you want to learn what's kind of happening behind the scenes, go and check out my book, Equity Crowdfunding Explained, on Amazon and Audible. And I also got a free course down below at crowdcrux.com/equity course. If you're more of an investor and you want to get access to the latest cutting edge news when it comes to crowdfunding, go and check out my newsletter at crowdcrux.com/newsletter. And for those of you that are founders and startups, I also have a one-on-one coaching call option, which you can learn about more on my other YouTube videos or in the description. But what I would say, and just kind of finishing off this video, is number one, it is a very exciting time to be alive, my friends, because there's so many ways you can get involved in private equity, so many ways you can start investing in new startup companies. Just make sure to have a little bit of an investment thesis going into that, whether that's going to be dollar cost averaging, whether your strategy is going to be about really investing in certain types of founders, or really looking more so at the management team and the traction, the way that Y Combinator does. Try to put together a mini, investment thesis and some decision criteria before you go about this. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket with that first go, and just try this out, experience it, view it as an alternative asset class and something that you're going to learn more about that way. Hope you enjoyed this video. My name is Salvador Briggman. Give me a thumbs up. Come subscribe if you want more content just like this. Leave a positive comment down below, because this is YouTube and I would love to hear from the YouTube community. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.